Hello. Hey, Tammy. Uh, and no worries. We all get busy. I'm glad to see you here today, though. I didn't get to look into anything about the Elam and the Thummim and the Turim. The what is it? The Urim and the Thummim. I didn't get to look up anything regarding that. But if you have the time, day before yesterday's reading, that was pretty crazy. That was really interesting. At least for me, that was really interesting. With the we were trying to figure out like the kings and the timeline, the Persian kings and the timeline. It didn't really make sense. So so that was interesting figuring that out. But today we're beginning Nehemiah. Let me get that on screen here. Is the audio okay? Am I lagging or anything? Let me get the window open a little bit. Come on, man. Okay. Let me just test this audio here real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Let me just mute real quick. Okay. Oh, it sounds good. Okay, perfect. All right. So then, let's get started. So Nehemiah. I mean, Ezra was a really short book, only 10 chapters. So, like I said in yesterday's reading, at the beginning of every book, I have my Bible has a little bit of a brief introduction. So, I'm going to read a little bit of it. I don't want to. I mean, I won't go too much into detail regarding it goes into like the purpose of the writing and all that stuff. But we'll figure that out as we're reading. So, um, I like to read about the author if we know what the author is and or if we have any clues. So let's see. Many readers conclude that the book was written by Nehemiah because of the words of the first verse, the words of Nehemiah, the son of Hekeliah. Okay, so apparently that's how the book starts off. It pretty much says, these are the words of Nehemiah. So if you can safely, or pretty much safely assume that it's written by Nehemiah. All right. So, in fact, it is widely believed that Nehemiah originated the following passages. And then it lists a bunch of different verses. Chapter 1, verse 1 to 7, verse 5. But I mean, wow, if it's Nehemiah's work, wouldn't he be the ones who originated the passages? Well, we'll see when we read, I guess. But there are two different views about the authorship of the rest of Nehemiah. Oh, okay. Some believe that Nehemiah wrote the whole book relying on his own memories. Others believe that Ezra wrote the book using Nehemiah's memoirs for the passages listed above. So, chapter 1, verse 1, 7 to 5, 7, chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 7, verse 5, chapter 12, verse 27 to 43, and chapter 13, verse 4 to 31. As evidence for the second view, it is noted that Nehemiah chapter 7, verse 5 to 73, and Ezra chapter 2, verse 1 to 70 are almost identical. The similarities of Nehemiah and Ezra, we can do a comparison. The similarities of Nehemiah and Ezra can be explained partly by the fact that they are only one book in the Hebrew Bible. See the introduction for Ezra, right? We reread that in the intro to Ezra. In fact, many scholars argue that Chronicles, Ezra, and Nehemiah were compiled by the same person. All these books exhibit similar themes, such as a focus on the Levites and the temple and extensive lists. With such priestly interests, the one who masterminded this long document may well have been a priest, like Ezra. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's read this because we were talking. This is the historical background because we were talking regarding a lot about the kings and the Persian Empire back in Ezra. So I feel like this will be helpful as well. The historical setting of Nehemiah is the setting of the second half of the Hebrew book of Ezra. During the Hebrew book of Ezra, which is the compilation of Ezra and Nehemiah in what we're reading. During this period, the Persian Emperor Artaxerxes I, Longimanus, allowed the Jews to return to their land and rebuild Jerusalem. At that time, Nehemiah occupied a prominent position in the emperor's court. He was the trusted cupbearer of Artaxerxes I. And if you remember what we read in Ezra, we had some confusion with who is Artaxerxes in chapter 4 and who is Artaxerxes I we see in I believe chapter 7. So that took a lot of digging and figuring out. Because that would mean that Artaxerxes had existed before Artaxerxes I, which didn't make any sense, right? So yeah, that took a little digging to figure out. In Artaxerxes' 20th year on the throne in 444 BC, he allowed Nehemiah to go to Jerusalem and rebuild its walls. Nehemiah stayed in Jerusalem for 12 years and then returned to Persia in Artaxerxes' 32nd year in 432 BC. Around 425 BC, Nehemiah left Persia and returned to Jerusalem for the last time. And we'll see that in chapter 13, verse 6. Nehemiah's memoirs could not have been completed until after his second visit to Jerusalem. Thus, the earliest that the book of Nehemiah could have been completed would have been about 425 BC. So that's a little brief historical background regarding the book. So let's jump in. If you guys are wondering what Bible this is, it is the New King James Version by the Thomas Nelson New King James Version, the third edition, the full color edition. I like it because it has things like this. It has pictures and references and different stuff like that. So it's cool. It's pretty comprehensive. But let's jump into chapter 1. Nehemiah prays for his people. And yeah, we saw that, remember? Oh, the narrator's too soft? I can increase the narrations. Or is it breaking up? Oh my gosh, I had it muted the entire time. What in the world? All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's go back and start over, okay? Sorry about that, Tammy.
The Book of Nehemiah.
Oops.
The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakkilah.
It came to pass in the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan, the citadel,
It should be good now,
that
right?
Hanani, one of my brethren, came with men from Judah. And I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said to me,
The survivors who are left from the captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned with fire.
So it was, when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. And I said, I pray, Lord God of heaven, O great and awesome God, you who keep your covenant and mercy with those who love you and observe your commandments, please
It's
let
too
your
soft.
ear be attentive and your eyes open, that you may hear the prayer of your servant, which I pray before you now, day and night, for the children of Israel, your
that
servants,
okay?
and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against you. Both my father's house and I have sinned. We have acted very corruptly against you, and have not kept the commandments, the statutes, nor the ordinances which you commanded your servant Moses. Remember, I pray, the word that you commanded your servant Moses, saying, If you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me, and keep my commandments, and do them, though some of you were cast out to the farthest part of the heavens, yet I will gather them from there, and bring them to the place which I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. Now these are your servants and your people, whom you have redeemed by your great power, and by your strong hand. O Lord, I pray, please let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant, and to the prayer of your servants who desire to fear your name. And let your servant prosper this day, I pray, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. For I was the king's cupbearer.
All right, I want to read what my Bible's got to say about this. So, if we go back to where is it? When does it get to? Chapter 2, I believe, right? Okay. Chapter 2. Nehemiah's brother Hanani had visited Jerusalem and returned to Shushan. This journey would have covered nearly 1,000 miles one way. Would probably have taken at least 4 months. Wow. It had taken Ezra and his caravan 4 months to make a similar round trip from Babylon to Jerusalem. Nehemiah was concerned about the Jewish people and Jerusalem. Life was difficult for the people in Jerusalem. This difficulty was due in large part to the condition of Jerusalem's wall. In the ancient Middle East, a city wall provided protection for its inhabitants. The condition of a city wall was also seen as an indication of strength of the people's gods. The ruined condition of the wall of Jerusalem reflected badly on God's name. So that's probably some sort of cultural viewpoint of the surrounding nations. Obviously that's not something God would, tie himself to, right? The wall is broken down, so therefore God isn't strong, obviously, right? That's just symbolic, The wall protects the city, and God protects the people, right? So Nehemiah wept and mourned. He was deeply disturbed. Without a wall, Jerusalem was vulnerable to attack. The riches of the temple treasury would have been quite a temptation for Israel's enemies. So that's why we saw him here, weeping. Wasn't there a portion where... Okay. The survivors who are left from the captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. Okay, so that's why they were in great distress and reproach, because of the wall. Right? The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down and its gates are burned with fire. Okay. Well, I mean, there probably could have been other reasons as well. They came back to a crumbling city,
And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was before him, that I took the wine and gave it to the king. Now, I had never been sad in his presence before. Therefore the king said to me,
Why is your face sad, since you are not sick? This is nothing but sorrow of heart.
So I became dreadfully afraid, and said to the king, May the king live forever. Why should my face not be sad, when the city, the place of my father's tombs, lies waste, and its gates are burned with fire?
What do you request?
So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said to the king, If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, I ask that you send me to Judah, to the city of my father's tombs, that I may rebuild it. Then the king said to me,
So it
the queen
affected
also
him so
sitting
much that
beside him,
he wants to take charge,
How
take the lead
long
on
will your
rebuilding.
journey be? And when will you return?
So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Furthermore, I said to the king, If it pleases the king,
That's crazy that Artaxerxes is, even giving the attention to this matter.
letters be given to me for the governors of the region beyond the river, that they must permit me to pass through till I come to Judah, and a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he must give me timber to make beams for the gates of the citadel which pertains to the temple, for the city wall, and for the house that I will occupy. And the king granted them to me according to the good hand of my God upon me. Then I went to the governors in the region beyond the river, and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. When Sanballat the Haranite and Tobiah the Ammonite official heard of it, they were deeply disturbed that a man had come to seek the well-being of the children of Israel. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Then I arose in the night, I and a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem, nor was there any animal with me, except the one on which I rode. And I went out by night through the valley gate to the serpent well.
Meaning, like, he
And the
traveled he traveled, he didn't have a caravan with him, or, have another animal with some supplies on there, He had a small, traveled with a small footprint.
Well, and the refuse gate, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem which were broken down, and its gates which were burned with fire. Then I went on to the fountain gate, and to the king's pool, but there was no room for the animal under me to pass. So I went up in the night by the valley, and viewed the wall. Then I turned back and entered by the valley gate, and so returned. And the officials did not know where I had gone or what I had done. I had not yet told the Jews, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or the others who did the work. Then I said to them, You see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and its gates are burned with fire. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reproach. And I told them of the hand of my God which had been good upon me, and also of the king's words that he had spoken to me. So they said,
Let us rise up and build.
Then they set their hands to this good work. But when Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab heard of it, they laughed at us and despised us.
What is this thing that you are doing? Will you rebel against the king?
So I answered them and said to them, The God of heaven himself will prosper us.
I thought
Therefore we,
Artaxerxes
his servants,
okayed it.
will arise and build. But you have no heritage or right or memorial in Jerusalem.
Yeah, I thought Artaxerxes okayed it, right? I went to the governors in the region beyond the river and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. When Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official heard of it, they were deeply disturbed that a man had come to seek the well-being of the children of Israel. Let's see what my Bible's got to say. Chapter 2. The king noticed Nehemiah's sad expression and concluded that it was caused by sorrow of heart rather than physical illness. That's kind of nice of the king, right, to even notice that in Nehemiah. I became dreadfully afraid. Persian monarchs believed that just being in their presence would make any person happy. This was in... Where is that? So I became dreadfully afraid and said to the king, "May the king live forever." Persian monarchs believed that just being in their presence would make any person happy. Yet Nehemiah was about to request the emperor's permission to go to Jerusalem, suggesting that he would rather be somewhere other than in the emperor's presence. So that's why he was dreadfully afraid. On top of that, it was Artaxerxes himself who had ordered the work on the wall to be stopped. No. See, that's where I gotta disagree with what this commentary is saying. Because if you go back and look at what we were reading, I think it was Ezra 5 to 7, that day's reading. It doesn't make any sense for, as far as I know, okay? It doesn't make any sense to have, you have Artaxerxes stop the construction of the temple, right? But the temple was completed under Darius, and Artaxerxes the first was only after Darius. So who is this previous Artaxerxes? It can't be this Artaxerxes. On top of that, it was Artaxerxes himself who had ordered the work on the wall to be stopped. Nehemiah had reason to be afraid. Let's see. But then again, maybe the records were messed up or something. You could go that route, but I mean, we're trying to figure out based on the data that we have, right? So, yeah, check on that Ezra 5 to 7 video and let me know your thoughts, and also about this too. If you think this is the same Artaxerxes, I don't think this is the same Artaxerxes. I mean, I may be wrong, but so far right now, I'm not. I don't think it's the same Artaxerxes. So let's see. So he asks how long the journey will be, and where is. Let's see. In responding to Nehemiah's request, the king might have had Nehemiah executed on the spot, or he might have dismissed Nehemiah with a laugh. However, his questions implied that the request was already granted. So Nehemiah was fine with all of this. Artaxerxes was fine with all of this. The king not only sent Nehemiah to Jerusalem, he made him governor. With the possibility of unrest in Egypt and in Cyprus, the king might have decided that Jerusalem needed a wall after all. Nehemiah's plans were detailed. He asked the king for permission to go to Jerusalem, for letters to ensure a safe passage, and also for provisions. Nehemiah requested a letter be addressed to Asaph, the man in charge of the king's forest, to enable him to obtain supplies of lumber for 3 projects: the gates, the citadel, and the city wall, and his personal house. Jerusalem had plenty of limestone for building projects, but timber necessary for making roofs and other parts of the large building projects was scarce. The citadel was a fortress situated just northwest of the temple. It overlooked and protected the temple area. Nehemiah had a military escort to Jerusalem. 2:9, but I thought he only Then I went to the governors in the region beyond the river and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. When Sanballat... Okay, right. But where was the part where... Over here. Then I arose in the night. Okay, just him. And I, a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Nor was there any animal with me except the one on which I rode. So does that mean that the other men didn't have animals with them? I doubt it. Maybe he just means that he didn't have any other possessions. He just carried whatever he carried on his animal. That could be the case. But why did he rise that night with a few men and didn't tell anybody? Let's see if this Bible says anything. That's what I was trying to find out. What was this? Chapter 12. Verse 12, sorry. Since Nehemiah had arrived in Jerusalem from the north, he would have seen the side of the wall as he approached. As he approached the city. If he lived in the southern western part of the city, he would have had ample time for viewing the western wall. Nehemiah seemed to have concern with inspecting the southern and eastern walls of Jerusalem. With a few servants, he passed through the valley gate into the valley of Hinnom. Then he traveled along the south wall. When the piles of stone and heaps of rubble obstructed his passage, he dismounted his animal and continued on foot up the Kidron Valley in order to view the eastern wall. Okay, but see, why did he... So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Then I rose in the night, and I and a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Okay. So it was not that he didn't want a few people to know that he was going. He just didn't want people knowing that his intentions. Maybe they just thought that he was out there scouting, inspecting the wall, and they didn't know that he was actually on a mission to do like a complete reconstruction. So maybe that's why. But I wonder why, because the king already had agreed. So why not just tell the officials that, hey, the king okayed all of this, so, maybe he just didn't want to cause any drama. I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't just take the king's word for it, But yeah, that's kind of odd. But anyways, we just finished chapter 2. Let's go into chapter 3.
Then Eliashib, the high priest, rose up with his brethren, the priests, and built the sheep gate. They consecrated it and hung its doors. They built as far as the Tower of the 100 and consecrated it, then as far as the Tower of Hananel. Next to Eliashib, the men of Jericho built, and next to them, Zachar, the son of Imri, built. Also the sons of Hasaneah built the fish gate. They laid its beams and hung its doors with its bolts and bars. And next to them, Meremoth, the son of Urijah, the son of Kaz, made repairs. Next to them, Meshullam, the son of Berechiah, the son of Meshezabel, made repairs. Next to them, Zadok, the son of Baanah, made repairs. Next to them, the Tekoites made repairs. But their nobles did not put their shoulders to the work of their lord. Moreover, Jehoiada, the son of Paseah, and Meshullam, the son of...
I wouldn't expect the nobles to, right? You always see that. The nobles just sitting back and just watching the work be done. They probably didn't have the skills to even do it, right? Usually nobles don't work with their hands, right? Do any stonework or anything like that, woodwork. So Yeah, they probably didn't have even the know-how. But I mean, I guess carrying, transporting, they can do that simple stuff. But that probably would be beneath them, right? They'd probably feel some type of way about that.
Of Besadiah repaired the old gate. They laid its beams and hung its doors with its bolts and bars. And next to them Melatiah the Gibeonite, Jadon the Meronothite, the men of Gibeon and Mizpah, repaired the residence of the governor of the region beyond the river. Next to him Uzziel the son of Harhiah, one of the goldsmiths, made repairs. Also next to him Hananiah, one of the perfumers, made repairs. And they fortified Jerusalem as far as the broad wall. And next to them Rephaiah the son of Hur, leader of half the district of Jerusalem, made repairs. Next to them Jediah the son of Harumaph made repairs in front of his house. And next to him Hattush the son of Hashabniah made repairs. Malchijah the son of Harim and Hashab the son of Pahath-Moab repaired another section, as well as the Tower of the Ovens. And next to him was Shallum the son of Halohesh, leader of half the district of Jerusalem. He and his daughters made repairs. Hanan and the inhabitants of Zanoah repaired the valley gate.
That's crazy. He got his daughters working on the wall too.
Hung its doors with its bolts and bars, and repaired 1,000 cubits of the wall as far as the refuse gate. Malchijah, the son of Rechab, leader of the district of Beth-Hakkerem, repaired the refuse gate. He built it and hung its doors with its bolts and bars. Shallun, the son of Calhose, leader of the district of Mizpah, repaired the fountain gate. He built it, covered it, hung its doors with its bolts and bars, and repaired the wall of the pool of Shelah by the king's garden, as far as the stairs that go down from the city of David.
I can see why they think that Nehemiah and Ezra were. Some people think that they could have been written by the same person, because the way that they're focused on keeping a record, right? The way this is written is very similar to when in Nehemiah they were documenting all the people that had intermarried with the pagans. So they're making sure to mention each name. And maybe it could be the case over here because they just want to document all the people that had worked on this, right? Because it's a monumental moment, right? Rebuilding the wall. So either way, you could look at it.
After him, Nehemiah, the son of Azbuk, leader of half the district of Beth-Sur, made repairs as far as the palace in front of the tombs of David, to the man-made pool, and as far as the house of the mighty. After him, the Levites, under Rehum, the son of Baanah,
House of
made
the
repairs.
mighty.
Next to him, Hashabiah, leader of half the district of Keilah, made repairs for his district. After him, their brethren, under Bavai, the son of Henadad, leader of the other half of the district of Keilah, made repairs. And next to him, Ezer, the son of Jeshua, the leader of Mizpah, repaired another section in front of the ascent to the armory at the buttress. After him, Baruch, the son of Zabbai, carefully repaired the other section from the buttress to the door of the house of Eliashib, the high priest. After him, Meremoth, the son of Urijah, the son of Koz, repaired another section from the door of the house of Eliashib to the end of the house of Eliashib. And after him the priests, the men of the plain, made repairs. After him Benjamin and Hashab made repairs opposite their house. After them Azariah the son of Maaseiah, the son of Ananiah, made repairs by his house. After him Binnui, the son of Henadad, repaired another section from the house of Azariah to the buttress, even as far as the corner. Palau, the son of Uzai, made repairs opposite the buttress, and on the tower which projects from the king's upper house that was by the court of the prison. After him, Pedaiah, the son of Parosh, made repairs. Moreover, the Nethinim, who dwelt in Ophel, made repairs as far as the place in front of the water gate toward the east, and on the projecting tower. After them, the Tekoites repaired another section, next to the great projecting tower, and as far as the wall of Ophel. Beyond the horse gate, the priests made repairs, each in front of his own house.
All these repairs in front of the houses, they're repairing the wall, right? So are these houses all by the wall? I'm assuming so. Or were there other damage? I'm sure there's other damage in Jerusalem, that they're repairing those simultaneously while they're working on the wall. I'm going, probably, most likely it's like these houses were, closer to the wall, and they're using these houses as, points of reference.
After them, Zadok, the son of Immer, made repairs in front of his own house. After him, Shemaiah, the son of Shechaniah, the keeper of the east gate, made repairs. After him, Hananiah, the son of Shelemiah, and Hanan, the sixth son of Zalaph, repaired another section. After him, Meshullam, the son of Berechiah, made repairs in front of his dwelling. After him, Malchijah, one of the goldsmiths, made repairs as far as the house of the Nethinim and of the merchants, in front of the Mifkad gate, and as far as the upper room at the corner. And between the upper room at the corner, as far as the sheep gate, the goldsmiths and the merchants made repairs.
Oh. That was 3, right? Okay. All right, that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we'll jump into chapter 4. Chapter 4 is going to be interesting. The wall is defended against enemies. So as they're building the wall, looks like they're going to have to be defending it. So that'll be definitely eventful. Today was pretty short. But it was, we saw that it was mostly, just documenting the names of the people that worked on the wall. And, I guess standing there, walking around building a wall is not too interesting. So they didn't document the actual process, more like they just documented who were all involved. But tomorrow, we'll see. It looks like it'll get more interesting. The wall defended against enemies. Nehemiah deals with oppression. What oppression is he going to be dealing with? The conspiracy against Nehemiah. Ooh, what's going on? Yeah, so tomorrow looks like will be really interesting. Yes, I think they were closer to the wall and blend in and make it better. Yeah. I think, that's probably what they were doing. The houses were probably closer to the wall. That's why they were using them as reference. But that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we'll jump into chapter 4. Hope you enjoyed today's reading. And thanks, Tammy, for joining us again, sticking all the way to the end. And I'll see you all tomorrow for chapter 4. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Take care. Bye-bye. No, it looks like it was all repaired. Yeah. It looks like everything was repaired. Tomorrow they're going to be defending their repairs. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, Tammy. Bye-bye.